Hello, I'm Chrissy Seaton and welcome to my YouTube channel, My Noahide Family. Today I thought we would address the topic of Emuna, and we're going to go through some of the rescues that Emuna does for us. So Emuna actually unlocks and reveals answers to many difficulties or questions that we have at certain times in our life, or indeed nearly every day we have some questions that we wonder about. So Emuna is a very, very powerful tool. As we go through life, we begin to feel, or for me anyway, it's sometimes like a giant jigsaw puzzle, and as you go through stages in life, you manage to fill in the pieces of that jigsaw. But no matter how far you progress with that puzzle of life, there's always that one key piece missing. There's always one piece of the puzzle missing. And so that's that searching. I'm sure any of you who've done a jigsaw puzzle can relate to that. It's extremely frustrating. So we're searching for that missing part of the puzzle. And sometimes we're searching for answers. For instance, we can be saying things as, why are some people extremely wealthy and others very, very poor? Why are some people robust and healthy and others are frail and weak or have disabilities, they're ill? And then why are some people extremely successful in everything they do? We have that expression, they've got the Midas touch. Everything they touch or do turns to success. And then we see others that everything fails. No matter what you touch, it just turns to mud. Nothing ever seems to flourish for you. So, and we go on, we have just in our normal day living, our daily weekdays, we have times when one day is really good and we come home, we say, oh gee, this was just a perfect day today. And then of course the next day is a disaster. We budget extremely well this week, but last week we barely met the budget, or we were over budget. We couldn't meet it. Couldn't pay some bills perhaps. So, and then we can even extend further into the psyche of the families. Some families flourish and they're very harmonious and collected and get along well. And then we see other families who are fractured. There's disharmony, separations, there's conflict, sibling fighting against sibling, etc. So we've all come across some of those issues in life. We've all had that one good day and the next day we just want to put our head under a pillow and not get out of bed. So everybody goes through these times. Now, some people, it's worse for some people than it is for others. So let's have a look at some key things to answer this dilemma. And I think one of the major key to this is knowing God, really knowing and understanding the ways of God. Everything in our daily life, everything we do is due to the divine providence of Hashem. So in other words, it's God's will. And I've often mentioned in previous videos that, God is omnipotent. He is everything. Nothing occurs without his divine creative vibrations, and that includes the good, the bad, and the ugly. And no matter what it is, there is a message in this. There's a lesson we need to learn. So Hashem is the one who decides on success or failure, health, illness, richness or poverty, etc. And that isn't always for us to, while we might wonder why this is happening, we need to come back and remind ourselves not to be making judgments ourselves about why that happened to that person and didn't happen to that one, or etc. It is all in God's hands. Only God knows why these things happen. He truly knows. We are only surmising, guessing, gossiping, way off the mark. Who knows? So let's then talk a bit more now about Emuna. Now, Emuna is that significant, single, important factor. Emuna is your complete and utter belief in an all-powerful one and only God. So he's the supreme creator, and we are created in a sense to know and follow God's ways. So we have an obligation, a moral obligation as a human being, a thinking human being, know God, know our Creator to the best of our human ability. We need to speak to him regularly about all things. I've often said before, he is our only true confidant. We can say anything about anything to Hashem because it's never going to go anywhere else. So this is a very important thing. We can admit our failings. We can say, oh, I'm angry, Hashem, today. This is what's happened. There's nothing you can't pour out to Hashem. It goes no further than him. So all these things that we experience, be they good or bad, it is ultimately for our own good. There's a benefit in it. Even the difficulties, we must understand, are a sign that Hashem loves us, that we're important to him. So all things we experience, be they uncomfortable at times or not as we would have desired it to be, all these things are sent to us, good and bad, for our benefit. So we have to remind ourselves of that frequently. We don't make the rules, God does. So our soul correction, there's a word called tikkun, and it's our purpose within this creation. So sometimes we have for that purpose that we have in creation, we sometimes have to suffer things or experience hard times. And the reason for that is to extend our reach to a higher spiritual level, make us aware of a higher spirituality, or it could be simply a correction to our soul. There's many reasons why we face challenges and difficulties at times, and so it's important that we sit down and have a little think about that. Why is this happening? And pray about it. All these events that happen in our life, be they good or bad, they're all invitations to pray to Hashem. So Hashem, being a loving father, he chastises his children when they are unruly, when they misbehave, etc. And that's to set us on the correct path. He doesn't desire for us to be difficult, unlawful type of people. We were created by Hashem. He gave us an individual special soul only for us, handpicked by Hashem. And that soul that we possess, we have a responsibility to, and we have a purpose for that, for ourselves, in order to elevate that soul that's been given to us. So we must remind ourselves frequently that righteous do suffer. And that is all because it's a step to us being elevated to a much higher place in the world to come. So that suffering and difficulty that comes upon us at times, it's a step. It's strengthening us. It is making us, our suffering here is for the benefit of us later on. So in the world to come. So if we don't acknowledge that we attract chastisement at times, and we continue to experience stumbling blocks or hardships, then we are kind of making this, the old saying, making the same mistake over and over again. We've got to learn from those things. When we suffer some chastisement and some hardships and some stumbling blocks, we've got to think, you know what, I'm not going to do that again. Or if I have to go down that track, I've got to do it a different way. I've got to accomplish it in a more righteous manner, etc. So that's the way we have to look at these things. Now, Emuna means that God sees and hears everything. That's our Emuna has to teach us and tell us that. He knows, he sees, he hears everything. And he punishes and rewards according to not only the deeds of an individual, but also the deeds of a group, a nation, and the world as a whole. So we've judged individually and chastised individually and rewarded individually, but also that carries over into the community group, into the city, into the country or state you live in, and entirely into the world itself. So this Emuna means that we know God definitely sees and hears all. We've established that. So there's nothing you can do. I always say you can't hide under the bed from God, because he'll find you there. He knows exactly where you are. With Emuna, we have a powerful tool. It's very powerful. Without Emuna, we see a world totally devoid of consciousness and righteousness. And that, of course, encompasses things such as kindness, truth, mercy, and justice. So Emuna is kind of like the core center of that whole part of life, that whole rhythm of life. So a society that is focused on, that world of me and my desires, my opinions, what I want, my selfishness. It's a world going crazy. And again, every day we see some evidence of this, either on social media or in the workplace or whatever. It's all about me. It's all about my opinion. It doesn't matter about anyone else. It's just this worldly grasp on what my needs are. So in lots of ways, we're looking at a world here without a moral compass. And that's something that we've seen in past history too. We have to, at some stage, say that the wishes of a few, or the desires of a few, seem to dictate to the majority. And we see that in some governmental decisions or some laws that are brought in, etc. Now, I'm not saying that they're all wrong or they're all not benefiting everyone, but I think we have to be very careful that we aren't swayed into unsavory, leanings or developing an opinion that really isn't something that a righteous, God-fearing person should be. So we need to step up to the plate, trusting in Emuna. When we have children at school, we need to be present when there's decisions about curriculum or the local school policy, etc. We need to be seen and we need to be heard in a civilized and righteous way. And that includes politics, etc. Be careful what you vote for. You get what you vote for. our education of our young ones and the family unity. These things need to be protected. And during all that, we have to also keep prodding ourselves on the shoulder and saying that there is one constant in all of this, one supreme constant, and that is God. We can rely upon Hashem 24/7. He hears and knows all things about us individually. He knows us intimately. And he responds to us in his divine way, according to his divine providence and his divine will. So we need to keep coming back to this beautiful word called Emuna. So that is really the core of everything. It's the center of everything. It's the God consciousness. It's being aware who God is, what he is, who he is, and how he is towards us. I have a lovely little book here that I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs out of, and it's all about Emuna. It's I'll read the couple of paragraphs and then I'll show you the book. And this book is called The Garden of Amuna, and it's was written originally by Rabbi Shalom Arush, A-R-U-S-H, and has been translated by Rabbi Lazer Brody. Some of you would probably know Rabbi Lazer Brody. He has a Facebook page, etc. Does these marvellous little, almost daily memes and little uplifting things. Very energising rabbi. So I'll just read this. It's on page 35 of this book, The Power of Emuna. I'm reading this verbatim. Emuna not only helps us to understand the world around us, it is essentially our most powerful asset. Emuna girds us with phenomenal inner strength and endless, and enables us to successfully weather any and all of life's difficult tests and challenges, whatever they may be. Ups and downs, life's bumpy transitional periods and times of turbulence all become easier when a person relies on Emuna. With Emuna, we know that there's no situation on earth, no matter how seemingly dismal, where Hashem cannot come to our rescue. On the next page, 35, it says, internalize this golden rule. So I'm going to read it. With true Emuna, any person, by means of simple personal prayer and dialogue with Hashem, can transcend any natural limitation and work wonders. I'll read it again. With true Emuna, any person, by means of simple personal prayer and dialogue with Hashem, can transcend any natural limitation and work wonders. So I think this is very important, and is to know Hashem. Emuna, in a nutshell, is one God, supreme, all-powerful creator. Our most powerful resource is Emuna, and divine providence reigns supreme. Just remember that. And this is this wonderful little book. It looks like this. It's got nice print, easy to read print. It's not a large book, but 290 pages, I think, but it's got little short headings, and it's just a marvellous book. I refer to it often. You can just go and read a page of things. There's a heap of topics in it, such as topics, all sorts of things. What are you afraid of? Belief in our wise men, successful business person, negotiating in faith. It goes on and on and on, and you can see there's so many pages of little topics, and they're easy to read. You can just read one a day if you wanted to do it that way. So there's heaps and heaps of things. Easy to read, a lesson for everyone. Anyone can gain benefit from this, Jew or Gentile alike. So I think I got mine on Amazon. It may be somewhere else. You may be able to buy it. It wasn't expensive. Lovely little book. Make a great gift for someone. And all credit to Rabbi Lazer Brody for translating this. Many thanks. So with that, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'm very happy for you to share my videos. And in the meantime, practice your Emuna and God bless.